Hello everyone, this is Lexicon Architect, and for today's commander, we're going to be looking at Anje, Maid of Dishonor, a 4-mana Rakdos creature spell that's a vampire that says whenever it and or one or more other vampires enter the battlefield under your control, you create a blood token, and this ability only triggers once per turn. So a blood token is an artifact with pay one, tap it, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, and draw a card. But the main ability we're going to be using here is the ability to pay 2 mana to sacrifice another creature or a blood token, and each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So we're going to be generating tons of blood tokens. We're going to be draining our opponents. We have a bunch of creatures in here that generate blood tokens when they enter. We have cards like Blood Veil Purveyor to deal massive amount of damage to our opponent, since it has flying and trample, and whenever our opponent casts a spell, they create a blood token, and then whenever Blood Vial Purveyor attacks, it gives +1/+0 for each blood token defending player controls. Then we have cards like Sanctum Seeker that says whenever a vampire you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain a life. Then we have cards like Veto to drain our opponents, so whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. And for 5 mana, you can give our creatures lifelink until the end of the turn. So this is going to allow us to deal damage, gain life, and then drain them again. Then we play cards like Mirkwood Bats that say whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses a life. Another one of our big hitters is Malakir Blood Witch. That is a 5-mana 4/4 with flying and protection from white. And when it ETBs, each opponent loses life equal to the number of vampires you control, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. Also, we have a bunch of Vampire Lords in the deck. We also play Cordial Vampire that says whenever it or another creature dies, doesn't have to be our creature, we can put a 1/1 counter on each vampire we control. And then we also play a couple Aristocrat abilities in Vran Executor Thane that says whenever one or more creatures you control die, each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. And this ability only triggers once per turn. And then we have a card like Marauding Blight Priest that says whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. As far as sorceries go, we have a ton of mass removal and card draw. Then in instance, we also have removal. We have cards like Big Score and Deadly Dispute to draw us cards and create treasure tokens. And then for artifacts, we're going to be running the Signet, Blood Fountain, which allows us to create a blood token when it ETBs. And then we can pay 4 to sack this to return 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. We play Lightning Greaves for protection. We play Oniko Anvil that says whenever one or more artifacts you control leave the battlefield during your turn, you create a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token. This ability only triggers once per turn, but we can sacrifice an artifact to have Oniko Anvil deal 1 damage to each opponent. You gain 1 life. We play Vanquisher Banner to pump our vampires and allow us to draw cards. For enchantments, we're playing Agent of the Throne and Bastion of Remembrance to drain our opponent. We play Phyrexian Arena to draw cards. Underhanded Designs allows us to, whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under control, if we pay 1, if we do, each opponent loses 1 life, we gain a life. And then for 2 mana, we can sacrifice this enchantment to destroy a target creature, and we can only activate this ability if we control 2 or more artifacts. And then Warlock Class is very good in this deck. So at the beginning of your end step, if a creature dies this turn, each opponent loses 2 life. If we get it to level 2, we get to look at the top 3 cards, put a card into your hand, put the rest into the graveyard. And then if we do get this to level 3 for 7 mana, at the beginning of our end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that they lost this turn. So if we have our commander out and we're draining them with our blood tokens, this is going to trigger at the end step and they're going to lose that amount of life as well. As far as lands, we're playing Bojuka Bog to destroy the graveyard of an opponent, Castle Lockwain to draw cards, Path of Ancestry to allow us to scry, and I believe that's it. No, we have Mines of Moria, which allows us to pay 4, exile 3 cards from our graveyard, and create 2 treasure tokens. And that is the deck in a nutshell. It's going to cost you $156. As you can see, we curve out at 2 and 3 mana. and that is the deck. So I hope you enjoyed this deck tech and have a good day.